Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner's online youth event. My name's Jane Gardner. I'm the Deputy Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner here in Essex. Very proud to be so, but even more proud to be co-hosting this event today. Really excited, lots and lots of schools joining us online, so welcome, you're very welcome. This is all about you, this isn't about us, and we're really keen to hear from you. On the bottom of your screen, you'll see a QR code. If you scan the QR code, you'll be able to ask questions directly of us. That would be fantastic. So get in early. I'm expecting there to be a big rush, lots to get through today. So whatever questions you can ask us will be fantastic. So get them in there. We've got a really fantastic programme for you today, with large thanks to you, the young people, in helping us pull this together. The first session we're having now is about the role of police and fire in community safety. So really going to be a great session. On that basis, I'm going to introduce you to my co-hosts now. So would you like to introduce yourselves?
So my name's Gino and this is Janelle. Yeah. And we're both members of the YEA. The YEA essentially aims to have young people across Essex have a voice, and yeah.
It also offers loads of opportunities for you. Like, for instance, this is one opportunity for us to be here in front of all of you guys.
Yeah.
And also, if I can just ask my boss to introduce himself, could be career limiting if I don't.
Hi, I'm Roger Hurst. I'm the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner for the County of Essex, which means I am the democratically elected person who makes sure that police and fire and rescue are doing what the communities need to do, and unfortunately have to also set the taxes to make sure they're funded to do so, appoint the Chief Constable and the Chief Fire Officer, and make sure that the voices of the people of Essex are heard. And that's what we're doing here today, and that's why today is frankly so exciting and so important. Really thrilled to be here. The Young Essex Assembly is a fantastic organisation. I know we're reaching out to a lot of schools across the county today. Hopefully other young people will actually just log in from the social media stuff that we've put out there. Really important to hear your questions. I know Jane's already pointed to the QR code. I'm sure you know how to use that. I think I could probably figure it out, but it's apparently it's really easy. But it's really important, please, that we get people's questions. Really looking forward to that. There will be a competition during the day for the two best questions. And the two best questions basically will be those which create the most discussion, or perhaps put me and Jane on the spot and make us answer things that you're really interested in. So please do come forward. I think when you come forward and put your questions in, really be good if you could put your name and your school. That will remain just for us. We will see that. We won't make it public, so you won't embarrass yourself. Your friends and colleagues won't know unless you want them to. So please, looking forward to a really exciting day, and yeah, we're in your hands.
So if I may, just a really exciting programme. So the next session at 11:30 is going to be about knife crime, and we've got our Violence and Vulnerability Unit and Essex Police coming to talk with you and take questions. We've got a session on water safety, really important. And of course, Roger's joining us at the end of the day to take your questions directly. And as he said, best question, the one that stimulates the most debate, the most interesting one, there will be prizes. So please get your questions in, scan the QR code. So I think I'm handing over to you now to ask us some questions.
Yeah, so thank you. We just wanted to ask you, Roger, what are you most excited for today? What are you looking forward to the most of the young people?
Well, I mean, I think we've got some really good content, but really today is about hearing from young people. I'm really interested to find out more through the question and answer and the discussion in the various sessions. What is it that young people really care about in terms of community safety? We do surveys, we try and get out and talk to people. We hear about the concerns that people have about drugs, about knife crime, about sexual crime and those sorts of things. But this is an opportunity for you to actually bring forward what you care about, and that to me it's not just exciting, it's actually really important. Young people, yeah, you need to have a strong voice. most of you are under 18, you won't yet actually have a vote, but you will do soon. And I just need for people to understand you really can influence the way that these services that make sure we have safe communities, you can influence how they behave.
Thank you. So I think we're just going to hand over to the questions now. Thank you, Roger, for answering. And yeah, we're just going to start looking at the questions now. So I can see some of them start coming in. So we've got, is that one from?
Yeah.
Hassanbrook Academy. Are we in the UK more tolerant than other countries regarding bladed articles?
Well, that's an interesting question about sort of international comparison. I think we are less tolerant than many and probably more tolerant than some. I've lived in quite a few different countries. I lived in Germany, France, America, Switzerland. And Britain is different. We have a very open society here, a lot of civil liberty. People can do a lot of what they want to do. And we have relatively low crime rates. So yes, we are quite tolerant, but we are quite active in preventing people doing bad things. If you compare that with those other countries, you have the same sort of liberties and freedom in America, but it's a much more violent society. There's an awful lot more harm in America and a lot more crime, a lot more knife crime and an awful lot more gun crime. And you know, the level of people dying in crime is so much higher in the States. If you then compare it with Germany, I really like living in Germany. I'm a very law-abiding citizen. I don't mind a fairly tight regime, as you might say, but it has lower crime, but it has got a very intolerant approach to people's behaviour. And I actually think that Britain's got a really strong mix of freedom and low crime. So I'm not advocating intolerance, but we need for everyone to know that carrying a knife is putting yourself at risk. It is a dangerous thing to do, and we need to live in a society where young people do not feel the need to carry knives.
And if I can just add to that, great question. Come back at 11:30. We're going to talk about knife crime in more detail with the Violence and Vulnerability Unit and Essex Police. So a really great question. Well done.
Yeah. The next question that we have is, what more can be done to tackle violence against girls and making them feel safer in public spaces?
I think this is one of the key priorities in my police and crime plan. Violence against women and girls is far too high. I think the government has been a help in the last few years in bringing in new crimes. So stalking and harassment has actually become a crime. We now record, I think it's about 25,000 incidents of stalking and harassment in a year in Essex, which would not have been dealt with by policing in that way in the past. And we also have controlling and coercive behaviour as a new form of crime, which again is largely in the domestic abuse space, not in the open space that you're asking about there. So there's been a help in terms of tightening up the law to be more protective of women and girls. What we can do is both be more active, but also be more receptive. I think women and girls need to know that when they come to the police will listen and they will be believed. And the crime will be investigated. Obviously, there's then the process of actually having to find the evidence if we're to take anything to court. But there is a lot that the police can do as well to protect people. And we've done some really interesting stuff. One example on the bunny walks in Chelmsford. We're doing some stuff now around Greensteads in Colchester around safer spaces. So that is improving the environment. It can be better lighting, it can be dealing with some of the undergrowth so there aren't dark corners where women and girls feel afraid to walk past as night falls or whatever. But it can also be CCTV, so we actually have a controlled environment. It can be encouraging community groups to be supportive of the area. So there are people there who are capable guardians who are looking after the space. And that, I think, is having quite a big impact on making those safer spaces. We had feedback from the government about the fact it wasn't actually reducing crime, and my point back to the Minister was, yes, but people are going there now. They weren't before. You know, it was a space that people were avoiding.
But I think, if I may just add to that, what's really, really important is, I mean, we're doing lots. You've heard what Roger said, we're doing lots, but what we really need to know is what you think we could be doing to make your environment safer. We absolutely want people to feel able to go out night and day, and, you know, as we say, we're investing lots of money, but what is it you think we should be doing, we could be doing to make your environment safer for you?
Thank you. So the next question is, what would you like to see improve in Essex for young people?
Here we go.
Okay, so, you know, again, you know, Roger and I absolutely want to hear from you. What do you think could be done? We hear a lot when we go to public meetings and we talk to young people. And we talk to young people as much as we can, because it's really important to get that temperature check of where you think you need additional support and help. And, you know, I think that there's much more we can do to work with other agencies, our partners, around activities, diversionary activities. What I mean by that is, you know, skate parks and other opportunities for you to be able to live your youth, as I lived my youth when I was younger. So really important that we provide those opportunities for you. But again, really want to know what you want. Roger.
And if I can just come in on the, I absolutely agree with what you said there, Jane. I think the most important thing, what do I want for young people, which was, I think, the question you put, is for them to feel safe and for them to know that the emergency services are there for them. Yeah, so I was quite worried. I came into this role in 2016 and did some schools visits then, and was really concerned about the fact that I didn't come across a single young person who thought of a police officer as a trusted adult to go to. When asking them that question, they gave us lots of examples of teachers, of course, and parents and nurses, doctors, other people that they knew. Not one of them cited the police. The police need to be, when you're in a difficult situation, the police need to be the most trusted adult for you to turn to. And we have to improve that relationship between young people and policing.
Thank you very much. We now have, how can I work for the police and fire service?
How can I work for the police and fire service? Go on, you go first.
Oh, lots of good ways. So we have police cadets, we have fire and rescue cadets. So join them, they're great fun. And I think they do some really good work around the county. So that's one way to do it. If you actually want to get a job when you leave school, do apply. We are recruiting for both services. It is really great to join the fire and rescue service. It is a fantastically useful thing to do for your community. One of the things you can do is you can actually have a full-time job and be an on-call firefighter. So you get paid for that, but you only actually turn out when there is an emergency. And that's, a lot of the county is covered by our on-call firefighters. So you step forward, you get trained, and you get paid if you get called out. But in the meantime, you can go about your job in your local town or village, which is really exciting. And on the policing side, even more exciting. I know a lot of young people are concerned about student debt. The good news about policing is, if you join the policing through the Police Educational Qualification Framework, PEQF as it's called, the police sponsor you to get a degree.
Might have to look into that.
And in addition to that, it's just worth saying as well, on the police side, you can also volunteer. So
yes,
you can volunteer to be a special constable. Can highly commend it to anybody who's thinking of it. Having spent 7 years doing that role myself here in Essex, it is a really fantastic role. It gives you so much confidence and so many skills that are transferable into your day-to-day life, into future work. So if you are interested, go to the Essex Police website as well as Essex County Fire and Rescue website. There's lots of volunteer opportunities out there for people.
And jobs.
And jobs. Yeah.
Thank you. So the next question is, what can we ourselves do to help our own schools and communities?
Very, very good question. So I think the first one is be a good citizen.
Yes.
Just think about what you're doing yourself. It is so easy these days for young people to be preyed on by the county lines, the drug gangs, by people online. Just always think about your own safety and think about your friends' safety too. If you have friends who are being led astray, it can be the case that a criminal will encourage someone to do something stupid, carry a drugs package or whatever it may be, and then tell them they're a criminal so they can't go to the police. Please talk to your friends and let them know we are here to support people. We are not here simply to prosecute people. If you've done something dumb, come forward and say, I'm sorry, I've been a dummy, what can I do about it? Because the objective will be to help you out of it. And supporting your friends in that way is really important.
And just on that, the young people in Essex are fantastic. On the whole, young people are fantastic, and they really want to give back and contribute to society, and I just think that's incredible. But for me, there's something about role modelling. So, I think it's really important that you role model for your peers, the change you want to see, the change you want to be in your community. So that's also in the school environment, but it's also in your community. So, be that person that role models that really excellent behaviour, that good citizen behaviour. And if you can all do that, then we'll be in a much better place.
I think that's a really good point, Jane. I mean, it's really important that you get involved. I mean, the Young Essex Assembly is fantastic. You're doing this. You are involved in one way or another, whether it's working with disabled people or whatever, or whether it's being involved in politics. I'm a particular political party. It doesn't matter what party you get involved with, as long as you're involved. Your views need to be heard. You need to be engaged, and it will make such a difference to the country going forward.
Yeah, and I believe the change kind of starts from now. It starts as you're young. That's where it starts. So.
Yes,
Completely.
Yeah. So the next question we have is, do you have a background in policing or in fire?
The answer to that is no. By law, I must be a civilian. My job is to represent you to the police service and the fire and rescue service. Background, I grew up in a police station. My dad was a cop. So my bedroom used to back onto the magistrates' courts, so I could hear what was going on. I am very familiar with policing, and my uncle was a police officer as well. But no, I've never been a police officer myself. Jane, you said you've been a special.
Yeah, I've been a special, and also my whole career I've been involved in community safety, which is 40 plus years now. So really, that's the broad community safety, which includes fire, policing, ambulance, blue light services, local authorities. So really important. So I do have some understanding of policing and the challenges that represents. I don't do that now for the same reasons Roger says. I am Roger's appointment, and therefore I represent, alongside Roger, the people of Essex.
You had to step down as a special, didn't you?
I did have to step down as a special, but brought that experience and knowledge to this role. But I think the other really important thing for Roger and I to say is, in this role, I mean, it's a very privileged role, let me just say that, and we get to experience so many different things, but we do go out with policing colleagues, with fire and rescue colleagues, to experience what they're experiencing firsthand, because that's really important to us, because as well as providing the broader sense of community safety to our communities, we also want to support all the staff that work in those emergency services, because they do incredible work day in and day out, and how we support their well-being is equally important to us. So we do go out and have those experiences with them.
Thank you. So the next question is, how much crime is stopped by the police each year?
Oh, a huge amount. How do we measure what doesn't happen? We know that crime prevention is the most important and effective intervention we can do. I get awfully academic on you here. We have models that predict where crime will be because of the nature of the built environment, the nature of the work the nature of society that lives in a particular place, levels of deprivation, etc., etc. We can predict where crime we think is going to be, and we can therefore police it and stop it happening. Where in some of the crime hotspots across the county, we know we've reduced crime by over 80%. We know that policing works when it's targeted, when it's there to deal with known offenders and stop them repeating what they're doing, and particularly when it's targeted at vulnerable people who are at risk and helping them keep safe. That's a really important thing to do. How much crime would there be if we didn't have policing in the way that we do? Well, look at America. Crime is 5 times the level in America that it is here. So I guess British police, at the very least, are stopping 4/5 of it.
Thank you.
I think that's a brilliant question. And the reason I think it's a brilliant question is there is something about how much do we stop, but there's also something for me about how much fear of crime is out in our communities and how much is the reality of what actually happens. So there is a job of work that we all collectively need to do, is to help people understand what is happening, what we are doing, and you know, I think our schools have a tremendous role to play here. What we are doing to prevent crime, to stop people fearing crime, so that people do feel safe, and you know, it's not in their heads. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. What I mean is, you know, is it actually happening, or is it what they think's happening? And you know, we have a massive job to do, because the backdrop of social media, for example, what you hear is all the bad things. What we need to hear is more about what's going really well.
Thank you. That question was from Mr. Dunkley from St Nicholas School.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunkley.
Thank you.
So the next question is, what is your role at the PFCC, and what does it do mainly?
Do you want to go first?
So yeah, I'll go first. My role is to support Roger. I am Roger's appointment. And Roger will talk about the activities that he has to do, some of which he cannot delegate to anybody. It has to be through him, and he will talk about those. But I support Roger very broadly in all community safety activity and with fire and rescue service. I have some key roles that Roger has asked me to take on. So I very much focus on domestic abuse, suicide prevention, reducing reoffending. So there's some key roles that I do and that I chair boards on, and I work with our partners on. So it's a very broad role, but it's an absolutely fantastic role, because no 2 days are the same, and I love that. You know, today we're talking to you, yesterday we were doing something completely different. You know, and it's very impactful. You know, you can make that difference that you want to see. So really challenging, but very exciting. Roger.
Shall I go next? So I am the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner, which means I am the person elected to be accountable to the people of Essex for the performance of Essex Police and Essex County Fire and Rescue Service. My principal legal obligations are to ensure the efficiency and effectiveness of those services, to appoint, or if need be, dismiss the Chief Officer, so the Chief Constable or the Chief Fire Officer. Hope never to have to dismiss, but it is my job to do so if that be required. To set the strategy for policing and for fire and rescue across the county, which I do in conjunction with the Chief Officers through the Police and Crime Plan and the Fire and Rescue Plan. Those are documents which I propose on the back of my election manifesto, so I stand for election. I should think probably next time around you'll be able to vote for me or again or for somebody else. And we put out manifestos saying what we think is important, the public get the chance to vote for those. They form the basis of the Police and Crime Plan and the Fire and Rescue Plan. They are refined by what the services think they can and can't achieve, and by consultation with the public. So we talk to lots of partners, youth services, probation, the courts, criminal justice, local authorities, social services, schools, etc., health. We try and get everybody's views involved. And then I have to set a budget to pay for the services that we've laid out in those plans. We get some funding from central government. It is my job to negotiate with central government to get that funding level. And we get some funding from the residents of Essex, the taxpayers of Essex through council tax, and it is my job to set the taxation level. So yeah, it's fascinating. And then after that, I then have to hold the chief officers to account for delivering those plans within those budgets. So I have, every month I have a session, Jane supports me a lot in this, in getting the feedback about what's being done. Where do we have officers, where do we have successes, where do we have challenges, where do we need to do more in line with the plans, and we have to make sure that what we're doing actually is delivering and reducing the number of people hurt through fire and rescue or road traffic collisions and reducing crime.
Thank you. The next question we have is from Ruby Winrow from Great Baddow High School, and she asks, how do you feel for our future generations enrolling in the police forces and fire rescue services?
I just want to say thank you for the question, Ruby. Great question. Over to Roger.
Thanks, Jane. That's good. I thought you were going to answer that one then. Yeah, as I said, two members of my family were in the police for a long time, well over 30 years each. They found it an amazing career, and I think they found it really worthwhile and rewarding, doing things for their community. Things have changed enormously since my father and my uncle were in the police, but I know from talking to lots of cops, from police constables through to chief constables, it's still an amazing job, and these are people who they're interacting with people all the time, so if you like people, it's a good thing to do. They're also enormously brave. The chief constable makes commendations every month for individuals who've gone beyond the normal call of duty, and I'm there to show public support for what they do. The number of times they've saved someone who was being attacked, they've saved someone who was in crisis, didn't know how to cope with life, and was standing on the edge of a bridge or on the edge of a multi-storey car park, and they've either through the use of their voice or by physical restraint saved their lives, and get thanked afterwards when people get over it. It is really important. And the times they in the fire and rescue service where they break into burning buildings and save people's lives, it's amazing work. There's a lot of negative press coverage at the moment about people behaving badly. All I can say is here in Essex, we have been very alert to the need to have positive cultures in policing and in fire and rescue for well before the recent events, which have been so awful that we've read about, Sarah Everard and the other events that we know about. I am determined, I know the Chief Constable is determined, and the Chief Fire Officer is determined that we will not have those sorts of behaviours here in Essex. And I talked to officers who've left the Met and joined us here in Essex, they have a real spring in their step about working in a force which has a different feel to it, a different day-to-day place to do their job. We need to keep that here, and I think it is a good place to work.
I just want to say on the back of what Roger said, if you're looking for a career where no 2 days are the same, and some days it will be engaging with the public on coffee with cops. Our cops do coffee with cops, where they make themselves available to talk to public. It might be the next day dealing with a domestic incident. You might be doing those in the same day. If that's the kind of career you want, it is a fantastic career, and so is fire and rescue service. And you talk to our officers, firefighters, and our police officers, and without a doubt and without exception, they all say what a fantastic career it is and how much they love their jobs. And quite honestly, they have to be passionate about what they do and committed to what they do, because it's not an easy job. But Ruby, if you're thinking of it, do it, is my answer to you. I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and any other young person who's watching today, you know, if you want to talk more about it, I'm always available, and I'm sure others in the services are as well. You know, fantastic opportunities. So, fantastic questions. We didn't need to plug the QR code. You are all really good, and you are getting your questions in, so make sure you keep them coming. We do have to close this session down now, so I just want to say a massive thank you to you, because you've made this a really interactive session, and that's exactly what we wanted it to be. I want to say thank you to Roger, of course, who you will see later. There's more to come. And thank you so much. I do think your future career might be in presenting on the One Show, which would be fantastic.
We'd love to be guests, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we would. Yeah. Well, I'll just set up your autograph. So, what a great job this morning you have done in the way you've put your questions and the way you've got the best out of us. So, thank you very much. That was absolutely fantastic. Next session is on knife crime, and you're going to be hearing from our Violence and Vulnerability Unit and Essex Police. So please get your questions in. Remember, vouchers, prizes for the best question, but importantly, let's see you back here at 11:30. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Robert. I'm Head Cadet at the Harwich Unit for Essex Police. I joined the police cadets to protect and serve my community. I like to help on voluntary events, so sort of charity events, litter picks with McDonald's, CGN restaurants, and generally just help the community and make them feel safer.
Hello, my name's Vicky Thorne, and the reason why I joined cadets is because I like to help my community, help people.
My best moment at cadets was the Tedron show in 2019 when I helped locate a missing child, and basically I helped a mother in distress just at ease.
My best moment is making new friends and honestly meeting new people.
Do it. Join cadets. It will be the best sort of moments of your life.
It's really fun. You get to learn new things that normal people won't be able to learn.